Hello, hello. Welcome to our 38th episode of our Ellie Talks, your insight in the world of sustainable fashion and textiles. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Pieter-Jan Provoost, who is an expert in building and supporting business communities. You work at Agoria, we'll talk about that later. And the topic of this interview is a topic which is very important for Ellie.Connect as well, is about building business communities and, of course, the importance of it. So, Pieter-Jan, very welcome today on our sofa. So we have a new seating today for our podcast. Pieter-Jan, before we start, we also would like to become a little bit more personal. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what inspires you and what drives you in life?
All right. Well, thank you, Julie, for having me here. It's a great honor to do this. It's also one of the first times I'm doing a podcast, so apologies to the public, the audience, maybe for some us and us that might happen along the way. About myself, indeed, I honestly discovered what I like to do through work and not through my personal life. And what I really like to do is to dive into a subject matter in the industry, learn about it, and bring people together, share the knowledge, gain new insights, and all this against an international backdrop. So I have the fun and the luck to travel a lot for my work, discover new cultures, and I love to connect those people, those ideas, and share that with other people, and also go beyond the headlines. I must say I abhor the TikTokization of our society. I want to go deeper and really get to the bottom of it. And there's so much things going on around this globe that nobody knows about. And somehow being the connector behind this is something that I like to do very much. And that is why I get up every day and do the thing that I do. So
great. So what's your favorite country or region?
Oh, that's
a difficult
I think it's the most
question.
difficult question in this podcast. But I was brought up by my parents when I was young on holiday in southern Spain. So I think I love Spain quite a lot and the Mediterranean. But otherwise, there's so much nice things to see on this global spot. So it's a difficult one, but I will apply back to my soul, and it's southern Spain.
Okay, noted that. So for our listeners and watchers who are not familiar with your organization, with Agoria, can you maybe explain a little bit about what it does and what your role specifically is in this organization?
Sure. So Agoria is one of Belgium's leading industry associations. We are a membership-driven, privately organized association comprising what we call technology-inspired companies. That's about a good 2,500 members rich community with all kinds of digital companies, machinery companies, robotics, automotive, aerospace. So that whole broad manufacturing and digital industry that we promote and represent in Belgium. We do three things at Agoria level. We give our companies expert insights and expert knowledge on sectoral things. Could be standards, industrial standards, could be negotiations with labor unions, etc. That's one thing. We try to improve their business environment and the conditions in which they do business a lot by consulting and influencing policy. And then the third pillar, of which I am a part, is helping them with their strategic business development, right? Helping them looking into the future and discovering existing or new markets, what's going on. I'm in that division, let's say, and I have my own business community or ecosystem that I built out throughout the years, which is basically doing two things. I focus on the industrial scale energy industry and the chemical industry, what's happening in the world, investments, technology trends, policy. I put that in front of my business community for them to discover new opportunities. And similarity, at the same time, I put the Belgian technology supply chain in that industry on the global stage, just to promote them and to, again, give them access to new information and ultimately new information for their strategic business development plans. So that is
interesting and very actual, I might say, that topic today.
It's a busy area. There's a lot of things happening. It's likewise also a very confusing area with contradicting policies. overarching ambitions that are colliding with business economics. So it's a very complex area to help navigating companies in it. So yeah, I know what to do.
Okay, and then we come to the topic of today, of course, building, supporting business communities. So today we're addressing the textile and fashion community with Ellie.Connect, of course. But why do you think it's actually more important than ever for a community like Ellie.Connect, like Agoria, to support companies in our particular industries? What do you feel is the biggest advantage?
There's a few, and I would like to zoom out for this question specifically on the textile industry and go more generic, because there are so much questions and so much confusing and colliding interests. There needs to be overarching organizations that help give the companies insights in what's going to come, in what might going to come, how can they adapt, etc. So the more confusing the environment, the more questions companies have, and then especially the company's leadership, right? The more organizations like us, big and small business communities, can help give a detailed answer or give inspiring ideas or give insights that help, make the company leadership make their puzzle of their strategy, right? And help them navigate. I think it's crucial in these times of global change, and that's I think the most depending on what is your strategy as a business community, who do you serve, what is your focus, it is help your member companies zooming out of their day-to-day business, give them the bigger picture, right, or a part of the bigger picture that they then need to pursue their strategy and adapt and change their ways, right?
So insights in the day after tomorrow as well, on the longer term.
Yeah, so business communities, in my opinion, are not really there to help companies in their day-to-day business. The companies know their business, you might assume, right? They know their clients.
Hopefully.
They know their suppliers. You will be surprised sometimes, but indeed. Communities, because we connect people, we are on another level, are there to indeed look at the future, right? Not forget the past either, but look at the future and help our members.
Okay, interesting. And what do you think makes a community successful? Are there any core values, principles, KPIs that make it essential to have to build a strong community?
I think there are a few. I'm not going to give here fantastic insights. It's no rocket science, but I, in my 17 years of experience, noticed that even if the simple rules that I will tell you now, there's many faults and mistakes that I'll be making against those rules. First of all, I think is who is your business community, right? If you're a new business community like Ellie.Connect, you can choose what you're gonna represent. If you're an existing and more, say with a history community like Agoria, then of course you have your history behind you. That's something a little bit difficult. So who is your business community? There has to be some connection between it. I can say like I want to start a new business community and I would like to combine international law offices specialized in AI and gardeners. I don't see really a connection between those two. So that will already be, a hamper to it. If I say, look, I want to do something for gardeners, manufacturers of garden tools and florists. Okay. So the type of your business community and the relation between its segments is already as a first, right? Yeah. The more diversified your community is, it's more challenging to find, and that's then the second rule, a good common cause, right? Every community has a commonality, and you have to find multiple commonalities, right? And you have to find that commonality as a business community, define it, and then work on that. So these two are interconnected, and the more diversified your business community, the more sharper the commonality, the common cause, right? If you have a small business community, then you can have a broader common cause. In my case, I have a very narrow business community. It's the value chain in oil and gas, chemical, energy industry, right? I don't do automotive, I don't do energy in building, I don't do energy in smart charging or whatever. No, have a very specific focus, market focus, very specific community. So I have a good common cause, right? And then the third thing I think is, and what are you going to do, right? Because you can do lots of services that you render to your business community, but maybe not all are necessary. You can be very good at lobbying the government, right? For a specific common cause, for a specific business community, right? 3 focuses that are aligned normally gives you a good rate on success. Or you can, try to make an impact in another way. Again, in my experience, my service is also very focused and limited, and it's just following the biggest 40 companies in the world in my market, oil companies, energy companies. What are they doing? What are the trends in investments and technology? That's it, right? There's 1,000 of companies I could follow, but I don't do it, right? I really pin down. So business community and the interrelationship between the segments. Secondly, finding that common cause, right, which you want to be able to help. Third, your service. Does it always have to be a big impact? No, it can be very pragmatic. And then these 3 should align and then stick to it, right? Yeah. Because we see a lot of associations, business communities that are growing. There's ambition behind it. There's a drive. They enlarge their community. And then you see their focus drifting. Yeah. And then it becomes more difficult again to find that common cause. And that happens along the way, right? And that is why it's so important also to then stick to your focus. And then lastly, to be a success, I think as a business community, it takes a lot of work. So put on the resources to do it. We already made the mistake once to put a part-time person on a part-time business community. It went nowhere. I mean, you have to be dedicated to serve it. So it's actually comes always down to a good choice of focus in everything you do, in your members, in your common cause, in your service, and then sticking to that everything.
Interesting, thank you. Of course, the contribution to knowledge sharing between the organization and members, collaboration is very important. If you look from a company point of view, how can companies turn these insights they get from the business community into measurable outcomes?
My answer will maybe be a bit disappointing on this question. First of all, it's the community manager who drives it all, right? The community manager drives the actions of the community. He executes the services towards the community. He listens to the community, to what they want and what they need, right? I think therefore it's always important to have a kind of advisory board of a diversity of community members to hear about their, what they really want, right? As a feedback loop to develop your services. But then, and that's in my opinion, but again, it's in my background of very focused and very pragmatic business community work, is that once you give an insight or a piece of information or something that is of value to one of your member companies, ultimately it's to them to put it into action, right? You cannot force your members to do something, right? You can only give them something on a golden plate, ready to be used, but it's the leadership who will really say, even if it's interesting, because I have anecdotes and examples of leadership says, fantastic, really inspirational, but I don't have the time to do it right now, right? You can put it in front of their nose, you can give it on a golden plate, you can be the butler of them, but if they don't empty their glass or do something with it, and it's actually the company leadership who is responsible to do something with the input that they receive. Can be quite frustrating sometimes also as community leader.
Well, I think we can fill up to that. I think we have the same feedback as well from Ellie.Connect. That with our focus on sustainability, you need to take it in hand and as you say, put it into action. So I want to zoom a little bit into our topic in the community as well, which is sustainability, where we know that collaboration is key. how can a business community help companies in driving sustainability change, for instance? We talk about textile industry sustainability. You can give an example in your domain as well if you want, the energy transition where you're also involved in. What is the role of a community in driving that change?
There's a few things. Keeping the new trends under constant attention of your members. Say, hey guys, this is going to happen, right? It could be inevitable, like new legislation, which is black on white, right? Which will drive the sector. It could be something more fuzzy, because that's also business community work is very fuzzy sometimes. It could be things like geopolitics, etc. And a business community leader, let's say, needs to know his members, know the market where they're active, know the focus that they're working around, and keep on feeding its members of the community like, look, this is going to happen. Be prepared. We're going to help you to prepare, etc. So it's being the canary in the coal mine, right? Or the extra canary, because lots of companies know what's going to happen, but you need to be like the cherry on that cake to, be the extra, as I said, canary in the coal mine to keep their attention on what is evolving in the market. That's one thing. Then put into action, right? Get those companies together, right? They know that they need to do something, right? But they're running around their business day to day, right? In their factory, with their personnel, with their suppliers, etc. And sometimes they just don't have the time to take action themselves. So then you have somebody who says, look, that day, that afternoon, we're going to come together, right? And we're going to talk, discuss. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have experts. And we're going to start, driving the change in your company just by giving you an opportunity to get together with your peers and start. And I already used Butler, and I think the Butler service is very important as a business community. So they don't have to do anything, right? They don't have to look for an expert, right? To invite to their company, to talk to their person. No. We as a business community, we do the first steps. We bring the company leaders together. We offer them the insights, the experts, just to feed them, right? To try to inspire them, right? That's the second thing. And then the third thing, we come back, as I said before, then it's to the company leadership to decide. But what often happens, and you may not forget that, is without knowing, we give triggers. Company leaders see their peers, and they see like, my colleague is doing this project, and and he's not taking people away. He's like a much more sexier employer for his employees because doing things about sustainability. I might need to follow, right? Sometimes leadership decisions are taken, I think, from the gut, right? Because
that happens.
Because company leaders see things, with their peers, with their colleagues happening, and that is why a business community can make a difference with this simple, nudging people or giving those triggers. I know it doesn't sound anything from a big four consultant playbook that I'm telling here, but actually it's getting to the guts of the company leadership, which actually drives the change.
So creating a FOMO effect, fear of missing out.
Yes.
They're doing it, so shouldn't I be doing that?
Yep. Yeah. That's actually a lot of the basics that we are working on. It's on the psychology, actually, of the company leadership more than on the big Excel files and and I don't know what inspirational quotes, etc. It's indeed, it comes down to, look, we show you what could happen if you don't do this.
Yeah. So you bring the members together, but what about the effect of real collaboration? Is there collaboration between the members as well, where you act more as an orchestrator on the background, or do you feel that is enhancing as well?
It's part of the ongoing job to find, again, those commonalities. Now, there's two things which you can do about that. You can drive and set up real collaboration projects, but that eats a lot of your resources as business community leadership, let's put it like this. So bigger communities, bigger associations have more resources, more funding, more resources to set up detailed collaboration programs. So on an Agoria level, we do this. We also have in Belgium our own technology center, series, right? Which is doing the same and is really, has its own labs, machinery to test things. So large associations can indeed set up deep going collaboration efforts, also across sectors. My community is much smaller. What I do there is also something like this, try to let my members collaborate, but on a very more shallow level. So for instance, what I do is I hear from my members about hotspots regionally, for instance, what's happening in the GCC, right? Lots of energy projects, lots of oil and gas projects, lots of hydrogen, blue ammonia, what's going on. And so we have a working group, maybe 15 companies, right? I have almost 150 companies in total that I cater to, but maybe 15 companies are interested in the GCC.
Mm-hmm.
We put them together regularly online.
What is GCC?
Sorry, the Middle East as an area. Sorry for that.
Sorry.
And we have just conversations about, okay, you're all 15 exporters into that market.
Mm-hmm.
You're not competitive to one each other. You supply the same energy market. You deal with the same big corporate customers. You deal with the same government, right? You have people there walking around, salespeople, service people. And what are the obstacles that you encounter? What are the opportunities? And then we just discuss together. And then these companies just inspire themselves with tips and tricks. Like, but did you try that agency? Oh no, I work with that bank there. Much better. So we do this, you can't call it really a collaboration project. It's not really a project, but on my level, and then as I said, within my focus and within my resources, I still get my companies together to work together to share experiences. And so depending on your resources, you can go deeper and really do deep projects around innovation, or you can do just shallow workshops. I call it shallow, but actually it really means a lot for my companies to have in 1 hour so much more insight than if they would hire a consultant for a year that goes boots on the ground in the Middle East, right?
Hi, this is Amélie, Community Manager for Ellie.Connect, interrupting just briefly your favorite podcast to ask you this question. Are you ready to make sustainability a priority? Are you ready to take concrete actions? Ellie.Connect offers you the network, the tools and the content to help you achieve just that. Go to Ellie.Connect.com and register today. But first, enjoy the rest of the episodes.
So it's, and that's, I think, what another major advantage of being involved in a good business community is in my aspect, and also shorten the route to market.
Yeah.
Right. Is through connections and through insights, maybe skip 3 steps when approaching a new customer or a new market. So because I'm business development oriented, not really innovation oriented, that's another big advantage of what I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I think it's a big role of what Ellie.Connect is doing today for the textile industry as well. But to bridge that is the importance of technology as well. When we talk about sustainability, circularity, technology plays a big role. So we have the textile ecosystem, but as well the software, hardware, technology. So how can a community help in getting access to the latest technology, insights? How does that work?
Yeah. Again, the responsibility of the business community leader with the clear mandate, of course, of the business community to render that specific service. But that, for instance, what I am doing is technology watch, right? So I scan a lot of information and analyze it and rework it and group it, right? And give it, again, on a dinner plate to my members. So that's technology watch. I made the connections myself. So I'm proactive in connecting members. If I see a member with one question and I happen to know a member that can prove the solution, I put them together, right? Again, that's my responsibility to get to know my members. So I spend a lot of time with them, with their leadership, knowing who they are, what they want. That evolves constantly. And I put that in a kind of knowledge system that could be a file, but that could be my own head, right? And that's my duty to proactively bring people together, make those connections, say, hey, look, this could be something for you, or this could be something for you, right? And And the third thing that I think is important, but we can get on that too later, certainly in an Ellie.Connect type of environment, is normally each segment in let's say a sector, an industry sector, each company knows its own client and knows its own first supplier, right? But a community, certainly like Ellie.Connect, right, certainly in sustainability in the textile sector, which is a very broad item, can bridge over the segments, right? Because, I mean, you know it, you have been at Vlerik, talk to your customer is a prerogative for a company to get to know where the market is going. But I would like to take it a step further. Talk to the customer of your customer to really know what's going on and what will happen, right? And Ellie.Connect, gathering the whole textile industry, is better suited to make that leap across segments than a company itself, right? Which is, again, in its day-to-day business, only talking to its direct customer and its direct supplier, right? So that is, I think, a lot of the added value of something like Ellie.Connect, and something that I try to do in my sector is bridge gaps, right? Tear down walls, because we all talk about a supply chain and a value chain, but in reality, it's always very fragmented and very broken. There's not an ideal value chain.
I understand, and actually it's a good example, for instance, where we bridge Ellie.Connect, where we bridge the textile industry with the technology industry as well. I think there's a lot of walls also between the social sector and the textile sector and the retail sector. And I think to foster innovation, you need much more cross-border innovation. And I like the fact that you say you need to know what your end customer or the customer of your customer is doing and what trends are playing there to know what decisions you need to take. If you don't have a look at that, then you will end up driving onto a wall. That's definitely the case. So we talked about future regulations. How do you see maybe the evolution when it comes to regulations? How can business community play a role there? I think a lot of our members, also our listeners, have a little bit the doubt between what is happening when it comes to legislation, regulations in our industry. How can a business community help tackle that when you have a very, let's say, unclear future on that case?
There's two, I think, major ways to look at that. Larger associations like Agoria, then, we try to influence regulation, right? That can make a big impact, right? Just putting a comma differently or scrapping a zero can make a hell of a difference in the business environment. So proactively trying to influence policy, I think, is some of the most important thing that a business community can do. But of course, you will need the mandate for that. You need the resources for that. And you need not only the mandate from your members, but also the mandate from the government that they accept you as a partner to discuss with, right? That's one thing you can do. I think that's the most impactful thing, but that's also the most difficult thing. The second thing, and then I do that on a smaller scale, is once the regulation is there, right? It's there. It's carved in stone. You just make people aware of it, that it exists, and that it will take action from their behalf to adapt, etc., and help them adapt to it. So we, I monitor big legislation packages, for instance, like IRA in the United States, and then I do workshops around it from what are the biggest things that could happen in the industry, what investments will it drive, etc. So monitoring is evenly important as trying to influence it in the first step, right? But again, it depends on the resources that you have, what you can do, right? But at least monitoring it and saying to your members, like, look, people, this is coming your way. And then trying to find tools or other companies or other experts just to help the companies, make up their, adapt. I mean, they need to make new company policies or adapt strategy or financing. And then as a business community, you can connect a lot of people again, right? It's still, business communities need to have this one layer helicopter view above their own business members. say, look, but in the financial sector or in the law sector, somebody could help you there and there. So try to be a spider in the web with all the actors in that specific industry sector, and proactively connect your community with them. Because once it comes down to practical stuff on the ground, then you need people to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and there again, connecting is a big part of a business community. Yep.
Okay. I totally agree, I would say.
I said I'm not going to give you rocket science or new things. It's just the basics.
Inspire, inform,
but
connect. I think you're the perfect ambassador for Ellie.Connect as well. Maybe looking at the future as well, what challenges and opportunities do you see for communities to make even bigger impacts in any direction? Is there something that those communities can, or impact that could change the impact, that it would be better, making more impact towards, well, in your domain, for instance, the energy industry?
Yeah. It's again trying to read beyond the headlines,
Yeah.
right? And what is really happening in the industry, getting that up front and before the nose of our clients, let's say. Because as I said, headlines, TikTokization, also even in a very heavy industry sector with billions of dollars of investments, there are hypes, right? And there are hypes that really turn nasty and companies lose a lot, right? So trying to, look through the hypes and inform your community, I think that's increasingly so, whatever the sector you're in, something that we really need to grab and do our thing. The visionary company leaders that we always talk about, right? Or maybe, 1 in 100, something like that. The other 99 just don't know it, right? We are there to help them to separate hype from reality. I think it's increasingly the most important thing that we can do. Then secondly, more operational wise, it's all AI, it's all digital, it's all webinars, it's podcasts, right? Physical connection, right? Which is a bit contradictory, because even with the global fragmentation in business, the world is still our home, and business still is international and will be international. It's just going to be more hurdles. But bringing people together physically, I think will increase your added value. Not always every week big events of 200 people. No, not necessary. But a good mixture, 3-4 times a year. Big event, small workshops, maybe sometimes online, right? But then live and then physical. People, you remember during COVID, everybody said, the big industry exhibitions, they are dead. Well, not in my sector, right? I see big industry exhibitions just exploding, right? People want to see each other. People want to talk business, and they want to have a first contact physically. Then maybe there's a process with online meetings, and then they want to seal the deal also physically. As a community, bringing people together with a good mixture of online but also physically, I think it's also a more protective atmosphere. You can, discuss quietly some stuff, in the corner of the area and having a drink. So that networking aspect actually is coming back.
Okay.
But then again, it's good to see who do you have in the room, who you put together. So again, it's a business community leader, needs to know his companies, right? And put the right people together. So there's a lot of psychology also involved.
Matchmaking, right?
Yeah, no, it is.
It's like Tinder. A little bit sometimes.
It is. But instead of swiping too fast left or right, then, keep steady for a moment, look into deeply, and then decide what you're going to do. Get to know each other, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. So we're running towards the end of our podcast episodes. You have a large audience listening and watching today. What message would you like to leave to our community today?
There's 2.
Okay, 2 is fine.
2 is fine. Okay, but I'm not disappointed with only 2 messages. No? One is because there's always a constant, drive to gain memberships, etc. And we also have a lot of companies who are skeptic before joining the committee, like, what's in it for me? And it costs too much. There I say, jump, right?
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, if you're never going to sniff around, you're never going to find the pearl or the truffle, right? So sometimes, because mostly business communities are actually financially quite okay, right? It's not big investments. I mean, what the heck? If you pretend to be that visionary leader, then just do it. Yeah? Become a member, of course, of the right community, the one that serves you most and is most interesting to you. That's one thing. And connected to that is what I truly like is the term serendipity, right?
My favorite word.
Yeah, it's things happen, not only in life but also in business, right? Yeah. I've experienced lots of international travel, lots of group and trade missions, lots of exhibitions, congresses, and I always add one day to my trip without an agenda, because I learned that in the first days of my trip, where everything is planned, I'm going to meet people who are very interesting, that I can say, hey, I have an extra day. Let's get together, have a cup of coffee, and let's discuss some things, right? And when I see people, businessmen, traveling, right, and having their minute-to-minute daily schedule, flying in on Sunday evening, leaving on Friday evening, they miss so much, right? And what's a day and a hotel room in your company budget if you can gain much more interesting insights or connections? So yes, serendipity, very important.
Okay, that's a nice message. Definitely worth trying that out. Thank you for that. Thank you, Pieter-Jan, for the very interesting views on how to build,
my pleasure.
sustain a business community. Your insights, I think your passion is clear. You're a natural podcast talent, so don't worry about that. That will happen in the future as well. So thank you for that, for being here, for supporting us as a believer as well. And I would say thank you, everyone listening or watching today. Stay engaged for more interesting topics on textile fashion or business community in general. Thank you very much, and let's do great things together.
Fantastic. Thank you. Bye.
If you are a fan of the Ellie Talks podcast, make sure to give us a like or leave a positive review. And remember, there's plenty more inspiring content on your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify or YouTube. We hope to see you there.